Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new league racing video. Today is round number 7 or 6? I think 6 actually. Of WOR around Belgium this time. And going into this round, I'm not expecting much because I literally came back home from the actual Spa race half an hour before this. So I could only practice 20 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe a little bit less actually. We equal on points with Lucas Blakely. You can see there, round 5, Mexico City. We lost some points there, but we're equal with Lucas Blakely and 5 points that of Otis. So going into this race, not expecting to gain points in the championship, of course, because well, we're gonna be testing and learning throughout this qualifying session. So WOR plan here is not to try and save sets of tires in Q1 and 2. We're just going to try and do as much laps as possible, test some setups as Parfumé is off in league races these days. We're just going to be testing setups because we haven't. I've done some time trial ahead of this just to make sure driving wise I was up to pace, which I pretty much was, but setup wise we are so far behind because yeah, no laps done on setup testing, and yeah, we're just gonna see how the setup is gonna behave in this first Q1 run here, and just warming my tires one little bit just before we start our first lap here in Q1 through the final chicane. We go. Jet Norgrove 40.872 as an opener, first lap set in the session so far. Into turn 1 we go. Need to get as much rotation as possible, and honestly, that was spot on. That's as good as you're gonna get it, I think so. So very good start of the lap already so far. Through Eau Rouge and Radion, easy flat out, of course, in this generation of cars. DRS open, smooth on the wheel. Declan Barrett goes to a provisional P1 as we try to nick a little bit of a slipstream there into the Lecombe section. 0.668 in the first sector, which I think was purple, or the fastest anyone has done. Through the downhill right-hander, easy to lose the backhand, which we do a little bit, but we keep the minimum speed up. Otis sets a 40.460 as we go through No Name up towards Poulon. Little bit of a wiggle, and through Poulon we're gonna go. Of course, a little lift as we're trying to keep the backhand stable through there. Was moving around quite a lot throughout the whole lap, especially in this middle sector. Down to 4th gear we go. A little bit of an hesitation on the turn in, a little bit under the limit on the exit there as well, as we head into the final sector on this exit. Lucas Blakely at 140.407. Now all easy flat throughout Blanchimont and this straight line section, and then one last hard braking zone at the bus stop chicane. Now this is where you can throw your complete lap away, and we're gonna try and nail it on the braking. Bit under the limit. Probably lost around 110 there. Also, didn't quite get the rotation in that final corner, but up to the line we go, and it's a 40.858.
Not ideal.
Which is not ideal, of course, because we're only P12 and 4.5 tenths off. Through turn 1 we go, in our last Q1 lap, and we already 110 down. So that's not ideal. However, throughout the lap we managed to make up some time, and we're 110 up now, with still probably around 110 to gain in this final corner. Bit of a moment, again didn't quite get the rotation there, but we still overall in that last chicane gained 700, and we're into Q2. Again, we definitely needed to go out for the second run, because otherwise we would have been P17 or P18, I think so. But yeah, still almost 3 tenths off. So Q2 here, first new tire run of Q2, still 2.2
tenths off.
2.4 tenths off, and again I'm just changing the setup throughout the session, trying to gain some pace as we head into our final corner of Q2. Actually, we're 600s up, and we're currently in P10, and that is gonna become P11, but we're 110 up, and we make it into Q3, and that's a huge dub in my opinion. Did not expect to make it into Q3, honestly. P7 there, and only 1.2 tenths behind Nicolas Longuet, so quite happy with that. Very happy with that we managed to get into Q3, because now that's just extra practice for us as well, extra setup testing. Now we don't have 2 new sets of tires for Q3, of course, which will make life a bit harder, But again, we've improved the setup throughout the session, which is all we needed to do. Again, Luke is very fast in the middle sector. And then when compared to Nicolas, we are fast in the middle sector. So a lot of different setups going on here. Overall, we might not have it completely together yet, but we're trying, of course. And in this last Q3 session, I'm not changing anything on the setup anymore because we just have to get used to this one now. It felt alright. We managed to get P7. So if we get P7 in Q3 as well, that is very good. This is our first lap in Q3. However, it is used tires, so not expecting too much. Spa is a long track, which means you use up a lot of your tires. And that also means if you go out and used in the first Q3 run, you're going to be close to a second of the pace because the tire drop off is so big. Now, here we go. This is the one where it all counts. This is the one where we have to try and snatch away a cheeky top 5 position. Bit of a moment in turn 1, but as you can see there, 1.5 stands up as we head into a Rouge and Radion. Little bit under 1.5 tenths. Easy flat out as we try to keep it smooth on the steering wheel to carry all the speed possible onto Camel Straight. DRS open and 1.5, 1.4 tenths up. We're actually losing a bit of time there. I don't know why. But into Le Combe we go. It's a 29.851. Bit of a moment through Le Combe as the car is just very snappy. Again, not balanced ideally for this Q3 session. As the track grips up, the balance changes as well. So very hard to test the setup from Q1 to 2 and 3. Into Pool 1 we go. Can we do it flat out is the question. A little bit of a lift as the back end steps out. And we actually lost time through there. Compared to a used tire run, so that's not ideal. As we potentially lost around 110 through there. A little bit of hesitation on entry, and again the exit bit under the limit as we head into the final sector on this exit. Otis Lawrence goes to provisional pole with a 140.0 as we are 2.5 tenths up on Ismail Fassi, 7 tenths up on our own lap time, which was a 41.0. So we need to gain another 3 tenths in this final chicane if we want to be fighting for pole position, which is very unlikely. We're going to push it to the limit on this last chicane, down to 3rd gear. Nice rotation on both the right and the left hander, trying to get the power down. It's only 8 tenths up, and it's a 140.218.
P7.
And unfortunately, only P9, and we are so close to top 5. Only 1.2 tenths away. And Lucas was clear at P1. If we get the lap completely nailed together, even with this setup that we just folded together, P2 was on the cards. But again, I'm not at peak performance as well with such little practice, as you guys
A lot of hip-on hearts.
might understand from your own league racing experience. Now, onto the race we go. We're going to be starting on the softs, and a lot of other people are on hards around us. So we're taking a big risk here, which is exactly what we need to do if we want to get to the front. 5 red lights, and away we go for the first lap here around the Belgium Grand Prix. Into turn 1 we go. I was thinking about sending it to the inside, but I saw Isfan going 3 wide. So I decided to back out of it because 3 wide in turn 1 is just not a very smart idea around Spa. Very often goes wrong. I backed out a little bit too late and I tapped Isfan slightly, so he lost a bit of time by that. So sorry for that, Isfan, if you're watching that. Into Le Combe we go again, trying to do it a little bit different to others by saving our battery. But into Le Combe we go. Big send as Jack West spins around in the Le Combe section. Iker sends it a little bit wide onto the marbles, but gives us just enough space on the exit there. And up to P7 we go from P9 on the grid. Now again, Isfan on hards, Tomek on softs, and I'm trying to get ahead of Isfan there into Pool 1 down the inside. Up to P6 we go. Next up is Tomek, but he's on softs as well, and he's not made a lot of ground yet. I'm not sure if he maybe has damage from the incident with Jack West or not, but he has not gained as much as us yet on this opening lap. Nicolas Longe in the lead on softs as well, trying to do difference to all the others. Now, Ismail Fassi, Otis Lawrence and Lucas Blakely all on the hard compound of tires. So it's me, Tomek and Nico on different strategies here in the top 6. Again, not using too much battery because all the guys ahead are doing that already. And I felt like it would just be a little bit of a waste because we were not going to make any moves. Isvan goes deep behind us in the chicane. Had to take avoiding action to not run into the back of us there. So he did well avoiding this as we go for a move into turn 1. But couldn't quite keep the momentum up on the exit there. So we are still stuck in P6. And I feel like Tomek is struggling a little bit, not gonna lie, with trying to get past other cars here. Of course, he has to keep his nose clean. There's almost an incident on Camel Straight there ahead of us. Between Ismail Fassi and Lucas Blakely into Lecombe we go. Tomek has to back out there very late. And this gives us the opportunity to get past him here with the switchback. We're going to turn on the overtake button. Bit of a moment there on the exit. But up to P5 we go, down the inside. We go a little bit deep under braking. But we managed to get up to P5. And ideally we'll get past a little bit faster to these cars. But just can't at the moment. Ismail used a lot of battery, of course, trying to get past Lucas. So that gives me some hope as we move on to the next lap now. Lap 3 of the race, and DRS is enabled, so that might help us a little bit with getting past other cars. Gonna turn on the overtake button as our battery is almost completely full here, giving us the extra 160 horsepower into the bus stop chicane. Bit of slipstream here as well, as Ismail is, I think, using his battery a little bit as well, trying to stay ahead into the bus stop as he's gaining so much Otis. But we've got more grip, so we can brake later into the bus stop chicane, and up to P4 we go. Right behind Otis, Lawrence, and Otis and Lucas are teammates in real life, of course, so they're gonna try and work together here. Purple last sector for us there on lap 3. And again, we have to get past Otis here as soon as possible while we still have the tire advantage in the coming laps. Slipstream is enabled. And we're just going to be gaining so much on the straight here. Maybe Otis running slightly higher wings as well, which usually wouldn't make that big of a difference, but on such a long straight it is helping us, of course. Into the Lecombe section we go, and almost a double overtake, but need to be careful when you go into Lecombe that if you go for a move down the inside you don't overshoot it and run into the side of someone. So Lucas stays ahead for now. Nicolas Longate 3 seconds ahead of us, and he started on the front row, so he's a good benchmark here on how well we're doing in these opening laps on the soft tire. Lap 6 now, we gained 1 second to Nicolas, and maybe with a bit of help of Lucas as well, of course, as his hards are only going to get faster compared to the softs of me and Nico. So here we go, past Lucas with the help of DRS, and now into sector 2 we go. Only 1.7 seconds behind Nicolas, and we're going to try and push for his DRS now, because otherwise Lucas will just get past us again on the next lap. So going to be using a bit of my battery and pushing hard on the tires here in this middle sector to get back into the DRS of Nicolas, or I should say get into the DRS of Nicolas, because he started P2, we started in P9, or maybe Nico started in P3, I'm not sure. But he started quite far up to the front, so we have to push hard to make up the time deficit here. Again,
balance is so good in the race.
As you can even say, balance is so good in the race compared to qualifying, and I'm not sure why. It's just feeling good for some reason. I can push hard. The back end is a little bit loose, but I like that, and the back end is also not extremely loose. I still get good traction. I can still have comfortable direction changes through chicanes, and now with the help of some of my battery that gives me an extra 160 horsepower, we're almost back into the DRS of Nicolas Longe, 1.1 seconds ahead. I don't think he's pushing it too hard, because he is maybe in a bit of a different race in this race, because he's just been so far ahead. We have to use a lot of our battery to catch up, and maybe he's playing a different game to us. Different plan in his head compared to us. We're gonna get DRS here, which is exactly what we were aiming for the past few laps, and now we just have to recharge our battery a little bit, be a little bit careful on the tires, because we are aiming for a soft medium strategy, and it is a little bit tricky on tire wear, whereas a lot of those hard runners are gonna move on to the mediums. Some might go to the softs later on, but even then overall they're using harder compounds than us, of course, so they're gonna have fresher tires towards the end of every stint. And midway into lap 9 now, we're going to go for a move on Nicolas. He might pass us again next lap, but as you can see me lift and coast a little bit, because I didn't know how much fuel to put in, so I went for something I thought would be right, and it was a little bit too low, which I noticed really early on in the stint. And I was like, I might as well start lifting, coasting early, get it over with, so at the end of the race we can just push flat out and fight for the win if we do have that opportunity. End of lap 9 now, sorry, we're starting lap 10 soon, as Nicolas is boxing there, and that means there's a 1 second gap behind me and Lucas. We get DRS on this straight, but if we play it right in turn 1, we're gonna break the DRS for at least 1 lap, and that might cause some chaos in that group behind us. And you can see there, with the help of ERS, that battery giving us 160 horsepower more, when we activate it, Lucas has dropped out of the DRS, and you can see P2 to P5 is within a second, and they are gonna be pushing each other to get past Lucas, to basically get into P2. Now, the softs are obviously not strong anymore. The rest of this lap, we're planning to box, and I know.
What happened to Lucas?
As you can hear me say, what happened to Lucas? And that's exactly what happened, because we broke the DRS. It causes chaos because the cars behind are also close behind each other in that DRS train.
Just to let Otis engineer know that he doesn't send it in the last bus stop.
And as you can hear me warn whoever is engineering Otis to not send it in the last bus stop. There have been incidents in the past in real Formula 1. I think Maldonado and Sutil had an incident in like 2011 or 2012 where one wanted to box and the other was on the outside into the last corner, and it caused an incident. So I just want to warn the engineer of Otis to play it smart and not go for a huge move into the final bus stop here, because I wanted to box. I had to box because our softs were completely dead. So I decided to go for the inside here, let Otis go for the outside, and that way we could box easily and not have any traffic into the pits. No one boxing behind us as far as I can see there. Actually, Iker Beining boxing. And now we're going to have to wait and see where we come out compared to Nicolas Longuet and Tomek Poratsis, because they played as smart. They boxed 1 lap after each other, so Tomek would get an undercut, and
Tomek and Nico boxed.
Nico boxed 1 lap later, so they would be together, as you can hear me say there. And whenever 2 teammates are together up front, it's really hard to pass them, because you can work together. Lap after lap, you can pass each other on the straight. And I knew this, so on this out lap, I didn't go too crazy on the ERS, because I knew that with the tire advantage we would gain to them over time, even though I did use a bit of ERS there to get past them. And once again, you can see me lift and coast a little bit. It's not a huge time loss, of course, especially if you lift at the end of the straight into a heavy braking zone. You might lose like half a tenth, but we're gonna get DRS here anyway, which again helps with fuel usage. So back up to the DRS of Tomek, and 1 lap later, you can see Tomek is flashing there. So I wanted to go for a move here on Camel Straight with the help of DRS. Tomek gets DRS as well, but his rear light is flashing, which means his battery is depleted, and this gives us an easy overtake into the Lecombe section. So up to P2 we go, and the final few people who are still out here at the end of lap 15 have boxed, so we're actually into P2 now. And you can see there Lucas is in P6 at the moment. However, he has fresher medium, so he will catch back up quite easily. And here on lap 18 you can see he is right there behind us. He has a 3-second penalty. However, that 3-second penalty will be removed because he had that incident on our in-lap where he went off track in Lecombe. Whether he got pushed off, I'm not sure, but Lucas trying to go for a move into the final bus stop. We're leaving him the space on the inside, not too much of course, because we don't want to get past, but we left him just enough space on the inside to go for a move. Now you can see here we're quite close to Nico at the start of lap 19, and we might have to pass him here, because if we don't, Lucas might pass us, and again we want to be P2 or P1 If you're in P3, usually that causes trouble and makes life hard because the car ahead of you has DRS as well. Into the comp section, we're gonna go with the help of DRS. We're gonna get past here again. Kind of had to force myself to get past to not get overtaken by Lucas, who is on that fresh set of tires and makes life hard. Now, next lap, Nico is doing the same, and I'm just letting him pass here because even though we're not teammates, we both want to win, and to win we have to be either P1 or P2. And you can see it is probably frustrating for Lucas to be in P3 here because it just makes life hard. You can't find a way through. You want to get in front and you just can't. Now, end of lap 20 here, and this is making it a little bit more difficult, especially for Nicolas, I think so, because we are now really close. Even if I didn't want to, Lucas is really pushing hard, and down the inside in turn 1 we goes, little bit of a tap, but this actually helps Nicolas again. I'm not sure why Lucas did that, because if he would have not, we would have both had an easy pass on Camel Straight and we would have been 1-2. However, I think Nico might be struggling on tires, and if he forces to use a lot of his battery, he might be in big trouble in the last lap. So I think he might have been thinking, you know what, I get to live another day. I'm gonna play the slightly longer game here, be a little bit less aggressive and drop back to P3. So in the end, might be the right move to play. You never know. 1.5 lap to go. Lucas in P2, we're on P1. Lucas has a lot fresher tires, and not gonna lie, we are at a disadvantage here, leading the race. First of all, because we want to have DRS on the long Camel Straight. Second of all, Lucas has much fresher tire than us, and that's the sacrifice we had to make to get track position, starting on those softs. Again, looks like a very nice strategy, but when the tires start to drop at the end of both stints, it is not that nice, because you're desperately trying to hold on to the positions you gained by them, but it might not always work out as the tires fall off a cliff. Quite a decent gap to the P4, as a bit of a mess here in the final corner. We almost went 3 wide. It was tough to give enough space to both of them, as Nico almost gets tapped around, and now we have a gap to P3, and I did not want to lead into that final straight, or onto Camel Straight, so I decided to get out of the way, but Lucas knew what game I was playing. Desperately I was trying to get out of the way, but we could not pull it off, and in the end we had to go for it in order to not lose too many positions. So ERS enabled, but we're not gonna get any DRS on Camel Straight, and this is very painful because we're lacking so much straight line speed now. We're getting overtaken by absolutely everyone in the top 4. Into Lecombe we go, trying to give enough space to Ilkay. We give enough space around the outside of Lucas again. He turns in a bit too early, but sends it wide. We almost spin out. Lucas goes back ahead. We send it down the inside. We give him just enough space, and back into P2 we go. However, Nicolas is leading, and the question is, how much ERS does he have? I tried to give enough space to Lucas there on the inside again. However, he wasn't even next to us. Into P1 we go. Now the question is, can we get back up behind Nicolas in time before the last bus stop? Can we go for a move perhaps in the last bus stop with the help of some slipstream? No DRS here in that last straight, in that last sector, and we're gonna turn on the overtake button to try and go for a move here in the last lap, in the last sector. Can we creep up behind him? However, it seems like he has more ERS to play with here. Slipstream alone is not gonna be enough, and it looks like we're gonna be finishing P2 for now, unless Nicolas makes a mistake. Lucas goes for a send into the final bus stop. I had to give him enough space, and through the final corner we go. It is P2 again. Again P2. The final three league races we've done, we finish now in P2, and every single one of them we've lost it in the last DRS race. Every single one. Brazil, we got overtaken in the last DRS rate. Silverstone, we got overtaken in the last DRS rate. And here, again, got overtaken in the last DRS rate if you don't count the run up to the line. Very frustrating, but it shows that at least we have the pace. Even without any practice if you don't count the 5-time trial laps I did. We did well. Not gonna lie, qualified P9, which is not good enough, of course, but with a poor setup, we managed to get back from P9 to P2. And hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and see you guys next time.